wrestling fans, to the PW Fan. The PW Fan is a pro wrestling podcast created by fans for the fans. And we welcome you to episode 51. And welcome back to year 2 of this podcast. I'm your host, your grumpy old school wrestling fan, collector, barber, musician, the jack of all trades and master of none, and the guy who just watched Cars 1, 2, and 3 with his daughter all in one day. Talk wrestling, Tim Gilbert.
And I'm your host, the architect of pro wrestling podcast, Funko Pop collector, Star Wars lover, superhero lover, everything geeky lover, Andy. Let's give it all.
I'm also your host, the No Selling Wrestling Indie fan and Liverpool supporter, Jeremy.
Well, boys, we've all introduced ourselves. In this episode, we will be discussing Tony Khan's announcement on Dynamite following the blowback from AEW All Out. There is a new ROH Pure Champion. Over on the other channel, Dominic Mysterio has a new allegiance, and we're going to be talking about more as well. Before we get started, please go over to YouTube, search the PW Fan, and hit a like and subscribe for us. Before we get started, please head over to YouTube and search the PW Fan, where we have a full catalog of last year's episodes. We can't make an official URL until we get 100 subscribers. So if you could hit the subscribe button, that would really help us out, and we appreciate it. We have new shirts available now on ProWrestlingTees.com/the PW Fan. 2 new designs for year 2. We got the year 2 pocket logo tee. We love our pocket logo tees. And that one has a little design on the left chest and then our big ugly faces on the back. And that's running $20.99 plus shipping. And we have a new basic front graphic tee that has our faces on the front, and that's a little bit more simple. And that one's $16.99 plus shipping. So I appreciate you guys checking those out. We're really excited to release them. As always, we're going to have that old logo for year 1 available, the classic purple-white logo. So if you like that one's there too. And we did do a price drop on it. So on all other social media, look us up by searching at the PW Fan. All right, Andy, over to you, buddy, and let you get us started.
Alrighty. This week, our shows were basically the aftermath of our big pay-per-view weekend. So WWE shows were all, aftermath of Clash at the Castle, while AEW was aftermath of All Out.
And the Clash at the Media Scrum.
And the Clash at the Media Scrum, that's correct. Starting with Raw, at Clash at the Castle, Dominic Mysterio turned on Edge and his father, Rey Mysterio. Because that Raw opened up this past week with a segment from Edge, calling out Dominic Mysterio, basically, said he knew him since he was a kid. He did not say that he's his real papi, but he did say he knew him is basically his whole life. And, I think he kind of said, you want to be a man now? Well, be a man, come out here. Mm-hmm. And then Rhea Ripley comes out and says that she turned him from a boy to a man. I don't know what the hell is going on with her storyline.
There's some innuendos going on there.
She's like his dominatrix.
Yeah,
something like that.
She's his dominatrix.
Well, at Clash of the Castle, in the middle of the match, she was choking him out on the outside of the ring. Yeah. And then this happened. So after she's out there this past Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I will say, sorry, I skipped ahead. So when Edge calls out Dominic, Rey Mysterio comes out and says, please, Edge, don't do this. And then that's when Rhea comes out. And then that's when the rest of the Judgment Day comes out. And then Dominic comes out. And Dominic's wearing all black. His mullet is slicked back.
Not a good look.
Say what you want. Yeah, look-wise. You either like it or you don't. Then Judgment Day ends up attacking Edge. Rey Mysterio's on the outside of the ring. He does not get involved. I don't remember if Dominic got involved in the attack, but what did happen was, and it's actually, I believe, the main event of tonight's Raw, they made a match for Dominic versus Edge. So that'll be the repercussions of this. So Big character change for Dominic. He's either going to sink or swim as a heel. What do you guys think of it? Is it a good decision for him, for his character?
I feel like it.
Was he kind of doing all he could?
I feel like it kind of has to be, because as a face, I don't think he was really doing anything. Like, it wasn't having much of an impact on anything.
I feel like we all knew eventually he would turn.
It makes it
some
more
point.
interesting,
We
at
just
least,
didn't
like,
know when.
him turn on his dad. It's always a good story. And hopefully, maybe, I don't know, he might have better matches. That clothesline was the best thing he's ever done.
This is true. Yes.
I agree. I think for Dominic, it's one of those things where we've kind of exhausted all options at this point, where he is at the level that he is right now. Not to say that there couldn't be a time where he'll get better and maybe kind of grow into himself and his, I want to say his body, but just like, he looks very young right now. So I think with what we're given, and we're trying things with him, turning him heel and trying something new is the best option. Because for me, it was really boring. I was like, all right, I mean, how long is this going to go on for? Are they just going to be a tag team forever until Ray retires? You know, what's the deal? At least this gives him a little personality. He had nothing before.
Well, he started wrestling, if I think back, he started wrestling on TV around the time, basically he got revenge for his dad for Seth blinding him. So that was during the pandemic era. His first match was against Seth Rollins at a pay-per-view, I believe, during when they were at the Thunderdome. And from that time, he's been with, teamed with Ray at some point. I think, they've become champs together, first father-son tag champions. I think they've done all they can with that version of his character. And, wrestlers say that being a heel is easier. They can kind of get away with more. Let's just see, though, if Dominic can play that character well. It's too early on to give it, an opinion, I feel like. This is only now the second week going on currently as we're watching.
Yeah.
He didn't, I don't even think he said a word this Raw that we're covering right now.
Yeah, he said
I
nothing.
think he was quiet the entire time.
Maybe it might come more naturally to him.
You never know. Anything else you guys want to add to that before we move on?
No, other than it's just the funny ha-has of like it's made the rounds on the internet of the whole the dominatrix thing. So it's just I feel like that's
dominatrix of Dominic.
Yeah. Everybody, it's like the one, the low hanging fruit joke that everybody's been making throughout the whole week. So I mean, really,
He made him a man.
other than that, I mean, there's really not much else to say about it.
It is funny to see, like, people on Twitter, they'll be like, I want to be in Dom's spot.
Oh, well,
That's what I see. That's what I see.
I guess I should have clarified. It's become like a thing now. It's like a like a Twitter thing, and like you'll see the comments like that, like I wish I was him, and like stuff like that. It's just like, oh god.
Yeah. Moving forward, one thing that will affect tonight's Raw as we're watching, and we'll cover it next week. Johnny Gargano had announced that he is gonna be doing his in-ring return this week. He didn't say against who. Theory, I believe, did come, or Austin Theory now, he got his name back, did come up during his backstage interview and interrupt him, but...
I think I saw that it was like Chris Gable.
Chad
Gable. I was like, sounds wrong.
That could actually be a really good match.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, those two. Tim might remember. Yes, okay, it's on. Yeah, it's on the bottom of the screen right now. It's for me at least. It's saying Johnny Gargano versus Chad Gable. Now when he was in DIY, they could have wrestled the Alpha Academy, or not Alpha Academy. I forget what they were called. Him and Jordan, Jason Jordan. What was their name called?
It was Alpha.
Yeah, does anyone remember what their?
It was Alpha something. I thought it was Alpha Academy.
Was it not Alpha
No,
Academy?
because that's what they are now. I thought that's what they are now.
What are they just?
Are they
bringing
not
back?
that now? Is that what they were?
That's what they were, I thought.
I want to look it up.
Now I have no idea. I'll have Tim look that up while I'm going. Chad Gable was in Alpha Academy at one time. I thought that's what his group with Otis is right now. But speaking of, I'm just wondering, is Jason Jordan still working backstage, or was he let go at some point?
I think he was let go in one of those cuts.
He was
Yeah.
But he was a producer backstage for years after. God, what a bad way to go out. Like, your last storyline, though, is Kurt Angle is your dad.
And he was, like, still selling it, like, afterwards, too. Like, on Twitter, he was like, "Happy birthday, Dad."
Oh, my God. Yeah, I know his group, Chad Gable's group with Jason Jordan, their saying was, like, Ready, Willing, and Gable.
Yeah.
But...
Oh, so
it
was
American Alpha.
American Alpha. And then, yes, Andy, his current team is with Festus, or whatever his name is.
Otis.
Festus.
This pal.
Also, I've done this 2 weeks in a row now. This has nothing to do with Raw or anything, but talking about NXT and talking about the North American champion, I keep calling him Cameron Hayes. It's not Cameron Hayes. There's Cameron Grimes, who is like the Moon guy, the Southern guy. It's Carmelo Hayes. I keep saying it's Cameron Hayes. And every time we get done recording, I'm like, I don't think that's his name. And then I watch NXT the next day. I'm like, God damn it! So it's Carmelo Hayes. So
welcome to the PW fans. Good housekeeping.
Yes. So I just wanted to say that. So moving forward, Matt Riddle requested a rematch with Seth Rollins after a clash at the Castle, and Rollins denied it. And we will, talk about the repercussions of that next week, because that's kind of how this show basically opened up in response to that. Lastly, our main event was The Miz versus Bobby Lashley in the steel cage match for the U.S. title. Less about the match and more at the end. Dexter Lumis slid out from under the ring and looked up as Miz is climbing out, and then Dexter Lumis kidnapped him.
Dude, that shot that they had the angle of it.
Straight down of him just like wide-eyed looking up is hilarious.
He just slides out.
He kidnapped The Miz, and so he kidnapped Roderick Strong in NXT. It's like his...
Does anything happen, though?
but...
Like, I feel like The Miz was just on TV the next week.
Roderick didn't want to talk about it. He had to go to his character had to do some therapy. I don't know what they do. It's very stalkerish. It's very I don't even know.
Yeah,
it's Triple H's idea because of him in charge of NXT at the time they were doing it.
That is just such like a. I know Triple H's sense of humor just from over the years of being a fan, and that's like right up that alley.
It's creepy.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Yeah, that seems more like a DX kind of thing. What they would do,
right? I can feel where that came from.
I don't know where they're going with it.
Yeah.
I have no idea where they're going with it. Obviously, I mean, he is after The Miz, but I mean, I would assume that's what his first storyline is going to be is against Miz. Miz is a lot of people's first storyline, I feel like, when they come up or enter WWE in general. That wrapped up Raw. Let's get into Dynamite, because Dynamite, big things to talk about right from the beginning. Dynamite opened up with a backstage interview with Tony Khan, who was looking into my soul. He was looking into my soul during this. I mean, I get they read from a prompter, but this man, it was so obvious. His eyes were big as hell.
Did he blink?
And I don't know, man. He was looking into my soul, though. Like, it was... He was staring straight down. But let's get into what he talked about. He basically said what he legally could say, I assume.
Yeah.
And all he said was, based off what happened after All Out, he would be stripping CM Punk of the AEW World Championship, and he would be stripping the Bucks and Kenny Omega of their AEW Trios Championship. Now, Punk had to get surgery on his tricep anyway, so I think he would have been stripped of it.
Yeah, he was out like 8 months
again. Yeah, I think there's a lot of news still out there, and is going to continue to come out there about this situation. I don't know how much more we can add to it, unless you guys have have read something specifically.
Well, I'll just say the one thing that I've seen recently was that the Punk press conference was he planned to do that, or he had that in mind.
he already knew he was going to talk about.
Yeah, the guy, I didn't even realize that the guy didn't even ask him a question about Colt Cabana or anything like that. It was just like...
No, he just knew he was a guy from Chicago that did improv. It was a good way for him to just...
Because the video kind of cuts on when he's just talking to him already.
Now, there is something I did read. They've gotten both sides of the story, from Punk's side and Ace Steel side, what they did kick in the door.
This. I want to do a round table. We'll talk about what happened on both sides, and then put yourself in the other person's shoes, and then let's just see. All right, so Andy, say what you read.
And correct me if I'm wrong at all as I'm saying this. I'm just trying to remember. It was a couple days ago I read it.
My source is Meltzer.
Punk and Ace Steel
I'm
side.
just putting that out. I mean, not my personal source.
Well, I mean, I think that's where...
I don't know the guy.
I think that's where it was from for me as well.
The Observer.
Because I had to get statements from both sides of the story. Punk, Ace Steel, and Ace's wife, and Larry, Punk's dog.
Larry.
I think other people probably in the locker room, because apparently MJF was one of the witnesses to the fight. But they said that Bucks knocked on the door, they didn't answer, and then they kicked it in. While the Bucks said that they knocked and then no answer, said they just came in. Is that correct so far?
Yeah.
I believe Punk did take the first shot right away at Matt Jackson.
Yeah.
I think that's a both sides thing. Kenny Omega tried to save Larry and get him out of the room, and then break up the fight.
That's
and
all.
Ace Steel ended up pulling his hair and biting him. Not saying if it's true or not.
Kenny
but
Omega
it's just
saving
what's out there.
Larry. I've read other reports.
That does sound like what.
Well, I'm not a reporter, but I'm just saying
It
what
sounds nice.
That sounds like
the
what
news
Kenny would
is
do.
out there.
Right.
Add any other information, Tim, you've read.
Again, my sources are
Ace Steel was trying to protect his wife, that's why he freaked out.
Threw a
the
chair.
Observer,
He threw a chair.
Figure 4 Online, and Brian Last, his wrestling news site. So the other source was saying that it was the HR lady who was trying to help the dog out of the room, not Kenny. Or Kenny handed her the dog. So at some point, the dog was handed off to somebody.
Larry's okay.
And we know the dog was there because Punk was walking the dog
And-
in the earlier thing.
I think that Kenny probably was just trying to break it up, if I had to guess. You know what I mean? He doesn't...
Well, everyone's been suspended.
Well,
I
yeah.
will say that. I don't think I mentioned that. Everyone's been suspended. Ace Steel, I think, is fired. Or is going to be.
Yeah, he most likely
or
will
something.
be.
We'll see.
It's a whole mess. I can tell you that much based off what I've read online. A lot of the locker room in AEW is not on Punk's side, from what I've read.
Yeah,
Correct me if I'm wrong.
that's right.
It's fine.
Correct him? I mean,
I
have you
guess
read
it's
something
correct. No,
Have
it's
you read something?
correct. I just have a differing view, but it's correct.
It's not my view. I'm not saying my view. I'm just saying the locker room apparently.
Tim, do you want to go ahead with yours then? If you want to start?
No, I just wanted to say, okay, I think the whole thing's I mean, if you're going to automatically say, he hit Matt Jackson first, and if that's the case, if you're the type of person that, there's no other conversation to be had, well, then there's no convincing you. If you're well, he hit him, there's nothing else to say, that is what it is. But I'm just saying, you just ranted on stage. You're extremely pissed off. You go back and you're chilling in your locker room, and you just said, "Hey, if anybody has a problem with me, come talk to me, and we'll fight." Basically, and then you roll into the locker.
Said, let's fucking go.
Right, but then you roll into the locker room 6 dudes deep, and then you're the only person in there, and the only other people in there is a guy's wife who's on crutches and a dog. So I'm like, are you not supposed to feel like are we doing this? Because, like, you know what I mean? Regardless of how you came in, whether you came in, like, come on, you're going to be like, do you think they really, like, poked their head in and was like, hey, Phil, like, what's going on, buddy? Like, dude, like,
I will say, if this was back in the day,
Yeah.
I will say, if this was back in the day, the fight would not be the issue. Shawn Michaels and Brett had that. And,
Yeah, that's true.
you know, that would not be the issue. The issue would be, and I'm not saying I agree with it or not, but Bischoff has been fucking ripping on Punk and saying that the big issue is basically humiliating the company and his boss. He said that's the bigger issue. He's like, forget about the fight. He's like, that kind of shit used to happen
all the time.
He thinks the big issue isn't the fight; it's the other.
Yeah,
I
can
agree with
see
that or not, but there's been fights before backstage in wrestling, and it's never gotten this much attention.
I agree with Eric. I think that the press conference was the problem. There was a time and place, and he being Punk took it too far. The aftermath, whether you want to, talk about people feeling threatened or self-defense or blah, 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 yeah. But what got us there was the press conference, and I do think Eric Bischoff is right in the way that now that the days have passed and the excitement has worn down, it was very bizarre. This whole thing has been very weird. It's like
did you watch back the Punk's media press conference again? Like, because I watched it and I was like watching it now afterwards without like feeling like anything with it. I'm like, yeah, he shouldn't have done this. Like, there's a much better way to handle this, and it's definitely like the cause of it.
Tony was like stress blinking. I he was like.
I felt bad for Tony watching it again. I was like, because he can't say anything when you're sitting there. You can't be like, Punk, shut up, because then you're in front of reporters doing that.
Right.
One thing Booker T said about this, and it's an old school mentality, but I kind of agree with him.
He said, "Who's a steal?"
He said, "If something."
Did you guys see that? Did you see that?
No.
He at the end, Booker T reviewed the whole thing, and he said, "I only got one question. Who's a steal?" And then everybody just started busting out laughing. It was like, all right.
He basically said, though, because the younger generation don't really do it, he said if there was something like a wrestler's court there, it wouldn't have gone to this point, because the whole point of that back in the day was to make sure things don't escalate to this kind of thing.
The locker room leader would basically, and people always act
Punk
like
called himself that.
Yeah, Punk called himself Booker T. Was like, he ain't my fucking you ain't gonna tell me what to do with this chicken or something like that.
But in that locker room, though, name me another guy who would be the biggest star. Yeah, if Booker T's in there, maybe Booker T's like, I've been in
Is it about the biggest star or like the veteran? I mean,
okay, so give me another.
Back then, I mean,
Dustin Rhodes, maybe.
I mean, was Jericho in there?
Honestly, Jericho actually looked the best coming out of the press conference. Like, did you watch his part at the end? Because
well, that's what I said last week. He kind of said some stuff, but it was more tamed.
Yeah. It was a mature way of saying it, rather than like Punk being like lashing out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, this is how this is how hot button of an issue this is, to the point where even the three of us might, disagree on like certain levels, of the whole thing. And it's like one of those things where it's like, no wonder the fans in general.
There's points from all sides that are
divided, though. The fans
that are being made.
You got your Bucks guys, you got your CM Punk loyalists, you got your I guess it just depends on which way you look at the whole thing. It's like,
well, you know what's kind of funny? sorry, Tim, I was just going to say, like, what's kind of funny is, like, the actual show that we're going to talk about, I thought this was one of the best ones they've done recently, because
It was pretty good.
there's no drama or anything.
Well,
let's get into it.
well, the last thing I just wanted to say, one last thing about the Punk thing is, it was leaked to the media that he supposedly got a man fired. So what he did, whether it's good or bad or inappropriate or whatever, is he addressed the media, the people that were saying stuff, the wrestling media, the people that were saying that he got Colt Cabana fired. He told them face to face, basically, hey, I didn't. And was it the right time and place? Probably not. But he also, I mean, when someone's like going around saying like, oh yeah, you hear this guy got this guy fired, and he's like, dude, I don't even care about this guy. Like, and also I'm not the person that's going to go get somebody fired. He probably felt like he had to say something. It's a very complicated issue, but he did disrespect Tony, and that's not a good look, blah, blah, blah. All right, Andy, moving on. We're moving on from the drama.
It'd be interesting if Dark Side of the Ring gave a story about this years and years from now.
Did you see the trailer clip that someone put together for it?
That was hilarious. No. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out. Well, yeah, getting to the actual show, it opened up with MJF coming out. They're in Buffalo, New York. God, guys, I love MJF.
Miss them so much.
MJF is great. I miss him.
He's so great. He's the best.
So he's getting on the mic. He's kind of doing like a babyface-ish promo. And eventually out comes... If you haven't seen the promo, go watch it. Unless you guys want to talk about something specifically you said during it.
He's wearing a Josh Allen jersey for Buffalo.
Yes, they were in Buffalo, New York. Jon Moxley comes out and interrupts. And basically Moxley says that he thinks MJF's full of shit. And MJF's like, oh, what, you don't think I care about these fans or this company? Basically says, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I was like, I knew this was
maybe.
It felt fake when he was like doing the baby face thing. I was like, this feels weird.
He said, maybe he'll use the title as a bargaining chip for the bidding war of 2024. Maybe he'll follow in his best friend's All-American or the American Nightmare Cody Roadster or Roller Coaster or whatever he says. Cody Rhodes. He said, my favorite wrestler, the American Nightmare, the Roller Coaster, Cody Rhodes. Which, I've seen some people say, like, why are you allowing him to put over another company on live TV? And that's up for debate.
I actually agree.
It's like kind of his gimmick right now. Yeah, I don't agree now it's a good idea because Vince is gone, so you don't have that part anymore.
Right, now they're good, so it's like...
Yeah.
It was funny before. Now it's like, well, I mean,
Like, maybe it's not a bad idea.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, so he's saying all this to Moxley, who, has been there before.
And he mentioned Nick Khan and also Triple H.
Oh, yeah, he says...
Good old...
Like, basically a better Khan. Yeah. Now, we do got to say before we get too far into it, because this was announced during the Tony Khan segment, because the World Championship is being vacated, they are doing a tournament, mainly made up of past champions. So it's going to be Danielson versus Hangman, and the winner faces Jericho. And then on the other side of the bracket, it's Sammy Guevara versus Darby Allin, winner faces Moxley. And what's interesting about the bracket, when you look on it, it just says, like, 7-time world champion. They included, like, WWE titles in that. Like, Moxley, it said 3-time world champion. Yeah. But if it was only AEW belts that they won, it says, like, AEW champion.
I do like...
So Jericho had 7-time...
I do like that. I do like that AEW acknowledges that other wrestling exists in the world. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's the one thing that's important. Yeah. But the only person WWE ever did that for was Flair by doing the 16 and Booker. They would say he was a 16-time, 5-time WCW champion. And I'm like, But like other than that, they rarely ever even acknowledge like he's a 3-time TNA champion. Like no one ever says that shit.
Well, did they only do that though because they actually brought over the WCW title at one point? Remember?
Yeah,
Right, and
also
it was
they
part of
bought
it was
them,
in
so.
yeah.
Yeah. And they bought WCW, so it's like it's ours. We can mention it.
Times.
And then with the trios titles, they were going to have a match. First match of the night was Death Triangle versus Best Friends for the AEW World Trios Championships. Now wrapping up the MJF segment with Jon Moxley, MJF ends up leaving the ring at some point, right? And Moxley cuts some passionate.
That's a really good promo
about how much the belt means to him.
I like how Andy blew it off. He's like, I don't know, they cut some passionate promo.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I mean, I feel like
I know, it's kinda good, I
seen
guess.
this promo. I've seen this promo done in different ways. It's just like a passion of like he's fired up. The belt means the world to him.
Yeah,
the company means
Yeah.
the world to him. It wasn't a new kind of promo. It was good. Okay, I don't want to downplay that, but
I don't know, he's
it
out
wasn't
there
some promo that was like it wasn't a pipe bomb or anything. Like
I don't know, I like the bits about like him. He basically called out people in the back. Like it looked more of like it was for the fans, but also he was like standing towards the stage. So like usually it's like
he was saying, he's like, I'm a little bit pissed off right now
Yeah.
about a lot of things, and
He's like,
I like the part where
he did make
vacation.
it seem like
He's like, I was supposed to be
Yeah.
on vacation
Yeah.
until like 2 days ago.
yeah. I did like the part where he said about like you leave everything like the dark and bad things of the business behind you to be a champion. It's like kind of like with Punk. I kind of feel like
You think he was throwing a little shade at him?
I think so. That was like
You know what?
too
I
much to
want
be
to
like
keep
what just
all
happened.
the dark and the bad of the business. I want to keep it all. It's stinging.
his promo made it seem like that's who they're going to go with again.
I mean, he's
So personally,
he-
I'd like to see Danielson,
Yeah.
but
No, I
I
want
feel like
wrestlers
Moxley
court.
is.
I want wrestlers court. I want locker room hazing. I want people taking dumps in other people's bags. I want
lots of ribbon.
I want ribs. I want going to the bar after the show, hitting the strip club like Mark Henry, and then hitting the hotel.
Like Mark.
Maybe Viscera, my man Big Vis, he used to the story I read is that he would go back to the hotel and order a couple large pizzas and order all the porn that the hotel had to offer. That was his ritual. That's the good
Death
stuff.
Triangle versus Best Friends.
That's the good dark stuff.
For the AEW World Death Triangle versus Best Friends for the AEW World Trios titles. Winners were Death Triangle. If you're gonna put the belts on another team, Trios team, I think this makes sense.
Yeah.
Malachi Black is gone. Though they did still trademark House of Black, that's not going away, so I don't know what they are going to do moving forward, but
House
that
of
group is
Black.
not going away. So winners are Death Triangle. Pac has now
Two-time
championships.
Two-pack.
He's two-pack.
Tupac.
Oh my
You named the
god!
episode. Two-pack. The bastard two-pack. Tupac.
Don't say that. Don't put that in the title. We're gonna get hate from everyone. This guy called Tupac a bastard.
Calling him best.
This guy's calling Tupac a bastard, man.
This next part, I'm glad this was announced. I was actually during the match or after the match happened at All Out. I was like,
Oh, this is the best
I
part.
think I mentioned on last week's show. I was like, that deserves another match, and
Yeah.
so it was announced that the Acclaim versus Swerve on Our Glory rematch is going to happen at Grand Slam, and I think they're going to pull the trigger after that reception.
I think
and
so.
Put the belts on the Acclaim guys.
Yeah. I mean, did you hear when not Billy Gunn, I should say, Daddy Ass cut off Swerve and was like, this isn't your house anymore? And he's like, this is Daddy Ass's
Yeah.
house. And the crowd went insane.
Did you guys see that meme that someone made that said,
Yeah, you sent it.
Yeah,
to
who
me.
would've-
About to bring it up?
if anybody here listening, so it's a picture of Billy Gunn doing the scissor me daddy ass fingers, and it says, who would have thought that this guy 20 years later would be getting kids suspended from school all over again? So if you don't understand what
Or
that
noticing.
means, he was obviously in D-Generation.
You got
X.
2 words for you.
Suck it. Kids were saying that in school, getting expelled and all that shit. So, and then now he's in a group that says "Scissor me, daddy ass," and people love it.
It's like the most over thing in wrestling right now.
It's great.
Which, think about it.
Dude, have you ever?
At one point, telling somebody to suck it was the most over thing in wrestling. So
Yeah.
it's happened before.
Have you?
Yeah.
Do you guys follow Cena on Instagram? He always posts stuff
Yeah.
without any context.
Posted Max
his
Caster.
Instagram.
He's a great Max
follow.
Caster did the attitude. Matt Caster did the attitude adjustment during the pay-per-view, and so John Cena posted him.
Yeah. That was cool.
I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but
Yeah, did
You know what's so
like,
sick about that? Is I think Cena's. It's like either someone sends that to him.
Cena watches.
Yeah.
But I think he watches.
Yeah,
I think he watches.
He does. He has to.
he's still. I mean, he was always a wrestling fan, right? I mean, I don't think even The Rock, I think, watches some stuff sometimes.
Yeah, The Rock watches like clips. I mean, they all watch clips that get sent to them or whatever by their people. But
Yeah,
they watch AEW. I'm sure.
which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Like I love the thing where they first started out the segment with the Acclaim coming out, and like the crowd was so hot, like listen to the rap that Max Caster was about to do, and then Spurs music hits, and like cut them off completely.
Oh, they are not the lovable team anymore.
Yeah.
Swerve in our glory.
Yeah. They're
People don't
heels
like
in
him
this
anymore.
basically.
They should just be heels.
And just think, a couple months ago, I was saying
They're better as
I was
heels.
saying like I hate the Acclaim, and now I'm like I fucking love the Acclaim.
Acclaim is the best.
Well, let's move forward to a match: Bryan Danielson versus Hangman Adam Page, AEW World Championship Tournament. Winner was Bryan Danielson. How would you guys rank this match compared to their ones in the past?
I mean, it was good, but I would say they're like the third out of the 3.
Well, the other ones were much longer,
Yeah,
weren't they?
and I feel like they had like much higher expectations and build up.
Yeah.
Like the first one, I think was probably the best one they had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I enjoyed the match. I liked it a
Wait,
lot.
this third one?
No, I mean the first one.
Oh, okay. So Bryan Danielson's moving forward, and he's going to be facing Jericho again, who they just wrestled at the pay-per-view. I'm wondering if he is going to win. Danielson, that is, because isn't Jericho... I think Jericho's supposed to be on tour right now, but had to postpone because of this stuff.
Yeah, I thought he said some injury thing for his tour, or I don't know what he said, but
Is that what it was? I don't know.
yeah.
But Danielson's moving forward. Our main event was Wheeler Yuta versus Daniel Garcia for the ROH Pure Championship. They were in Buffalo, New York. Out comes West Side Gun to introduce Daniel Garcia.
Dude, this was
Both
sick.
are
I'm not gonna lie. West Side Gun was
Buffalo natives.
Dude, they were killing it. That was a
Yeah.
dope entrance. I was like, "Oh, this is awesome."
This match was really good. Daniel Garcia won, though, and
Crowd went crazy.
I think it makes sense. The crowd went crazy. I think it makes sense. Danielson comes out and a very old school thing to do, puts the strap around him
Yeah.
himself. It's cool to see. You know, he got respect, but I think we're getting to Jericho and Daniel Garcia feud possibly.
Yeah, because then Jericho was standing on the ramp like,
like, what are you doing?
like feeling betrayed, basically.
But if you guys don't have anything to add, that wraps up Dynamite, and we can get into SmackDown.
And also, just to add, there's no drama out of Dynamite so far.
So far.
We haven't made it a
So
week
far.
yet, but
Yeah, anything to add, Tim?
No, I mean overall, I think this was a solid show for them. I think
they did a million
that-
again.
Yeah, they did 1 million, but I think, me personally, I just think that they did 1 million because people wanted to see what happened with all this shit. And once...
Oh my... Did I not write this down, guys? For Raw, Braun Strowman returned?
Oh, yeah.
No, you
Remember
didn't.
I said that last week when I was watching it live.
Braun Strowman returned the last week
I'm not
in
finished
the middle of
with
a tag
you.
match. In the middle of like a big tag match and took everyone out. But he was also on SmackDown.
He
so
had
we'll-
enough of
it's a
controlling his own narrative. So
Yeah. So I'm going to go back and have them control it. So, you guys want to get into SmackDown? It opened up with a really good match. Imperium in full force, all three members.
Original entrance and everything, right?
Yep. Versus the Brawling Brutes. It was a really good match, great opener. Winners were Imperium in the end, but again, Pete Dunne's in his classic, gear. Just a hard-hitting match with these 6 guys.
That was good.
It was good, though. Next, the Bloodline without Roman and Heyman welcome Solo Sikoa. Drew McIntyre comes out and attacks with a chair. Well, everyone gets out of the ring except for Solo. He's just standing there by himself waiting for Drew. And Drew comes in, and he goes to hit Solo Sikoa with a chair, and Sami Zayn pushes him out of the way and takes the chair shot.
I love Sami in this.
He is an honorary Uce. He's an honorary Uce, man. He's hilarious in these segments. Yeah. He's just, sitting out there, throwing up the ones. And, the Usos will say something, and he'll be like, no cap, just randomly. He's their hype man. Just
he was making me laugh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he makes them laugh, and they try not to
But there was
Jimmy is always just what are you doing? But Jay Uso is supposed to be the Uso that hates him.
Yeah. There was 2 weeks ago, whatever, he did that segment with Roman in the backstage area, and Roman started breaking character almost. He was laughing.
Oh, Roman loves working with Sami Zayn. He's said it before.
He's an honorary Uce.
He's an honorary Uce, man. Which, if this continues, this will be really interesting if The Rock actually does get involved at some point. He's the original head of the table.
That dude, it's gotta happen. They've gotta be building to this.
Yeah.
Is The Rock the one to take the titles off, or is it going to be Cody or someone, you think?
I don't know. I think if they take it off for someone, it's going to be in a way someone interferes and Roman doesn't lose cleanly.
Yeah.
Well, my father said when I was younger that,
I don't know what that means.
That's the intro line of Cody Rhodes' theme song.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Okay. When does he do back? Rumble? I could see him come back.
Yeah.
In the Rumble.
It seems like he's going to win it.
I was about to. You guys were getting ready. You guys were waiting for me to say some really thought out, beautiful shit.
I was like, we have the same.
Yeah, I know. That's
what's he about to say?
We have the same father.
We had a fatal 5-way #1 contenders match for the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship. Ronda Rousey versus Sonya Deville, Xia Li, Natalya, and Lacey Evans. Winner was Ronda Rousey. So Ronda is going to be facing Liv Morgan once again. I guess the next pay-per-view is Extreme Rules. I think it's in Philly.
Yeah, it's in Philly.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
You want to
Full
go?
of promo for it because Heyman did it.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, Extreme Rules. That's kind of cool. Extreme Rules in Philly, or ECW.
Did we go?
Braun Strowman comes out and lays out Alpha Academy. He ends up powerbombing Otis, he's a big boy.
Not Festus or
not Festus. No, that is Luke Gallows. I wonder if Vince McMahon ever found out later that Luke Gallows was.
He had to know, right?
I don't know if he ever told him. If it's also in the Straight Edge Society.
Yeah.
One of the best.
So was Serena Deeb.
Speaking of Colt Cabana and controversy, one of the best Art of Wrestling podcast episodes ever it's probably on Colt's archive on his website. Yeah, I think you have to pay to get them. But it's Luke Gallows telling the story of when he first became a wrestler, and when he met Vince, he was teaching him how to do the Festus face, and he said, "Do it like this." And then he put his tongue out, and then he tried it, and then he said, "No, not like that, like this." And then and he was looking at me doing the Festus face. If anybody doesn't know, Luke Gallows is one of the funniest wrestlers ever. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
Dude, I'll put over their Talking Shop podcast. It's one of the funniest wrestling podcasts I've ever listened to in my entire life. I don't even think it's still going, but when they were in WWE doing it with WWE wrestlers, it was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, that was great.
They just have the craziest stories, especially Luke Gallows. From wrestling to just like shitting his pants at a person at his like own house.
He's done some wild things.
He's like, Andrew, and they just get drunk and start like talking shop.
One of my favorite Festus stories, aka Luke Gallows. I know we're on a tangent here, but it's him secretly wrestling when he was in high school. Or when he was in college, he was on the football team, and he wasn't supposed to do anything else because he could get hurt, and he had a scholarship. And he said he was doing a battle royal, and he had a mask on, and he would wear a mask so nobody could know who he was. And he looked up, and his football coach was standing right there looking at him. And then the next day, he called him into his office, and he said, "Son, you need to decide right now if you want to be a contributing member of this football team or if you want to be the next Dusty Rhodes." And then he said, "Dude, it just like poured out of me. I just looked at him right in the face and I said, I want to be the next Dusty Rhodes." So he quit the football team for wrestling.
Yeah, we did get off track there. Let's just do the main event, guys. Last time we talked about was Braun Strowman laying out Alpha Academy. The main event was Solo Sikoa versus Drew McIntyre, which is a pretty good match up until, well, not up until the end, but it didn't end with a winner because Karrion Kross interfered and ended up, I think it's called the Straight Jacket. He choked out Drew McIntyre. It's like a rear naked choke on the ground, and he wraps his legs around you. So it looks like that's going to be Karrion Kross's big first feud is just against Drew, since Roman's never fucking around.
When is he supposed to be back?
I don't know. I'd be curious though if Karrion Kross beats Drew, that just puts him in line to beat Roman, and then if he beats Roman, then that's how you take the belt off him, I guess. And then my father said when I was younger comes back.
What did he say when we were younger, Andy? He said, "Stop." He said, if I was giving Andy a pedigree in the other room and he could hear it, he'd say, "Stop! Stop it! Stop it!"
As we broke the bed because you pedigreed me.
One time when we were middle school, I pedigreed Andy through our futon. It was like straight out of Raw. Yeah, it was awesome.
That
hurt.
hurts.
Straight down, too.
It broke.
It was awesome.
We would like prop it up to make it look like, and then as soon as I laid on it, it was broken. All right. Well, that wrapped up SmackDown. There's only two little things to talk about with Rampage.
There's never much.
Opening match. Yeah, well, it's only an hour long too. NXT was pretty good this week. NXT, guys, I'm telling you, check it out if you can.
Every time.
Yep. So Rampage opening match was Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara, AEW World Championship Tournament. Pretty good match. They've wrestled in the past, and every time the match has been pretty good. There was Darby Allin did a dive, like a tope suicida to the outside, and Sammy Guevara turned into a cutter. It was like an RKO out of nowhere. It was actually really good and really fast. Sammy went for Darby's own move, which is the coffin drop, I believe. I don't think he hit it.
The cough drop.
And I think the cough drop.
That's a throwback to year one.
New shirt.
The year one episode
New shirt coming year 3.
No, it was
year
year one episode 3.
Yeah.
It's the cough drop.
Cough drop.
And I think Darby Allin did the whole backward springboard to a cutter off the rope, like Sammy does. They were doing each other's moves. Winner was Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara is now going to wrestle Jon Moxley next in the tournament. So winner of Jon Moxley and Sammy faces the winner of Bryan Danielson and Jericho. It could come down to Jericho Moxley, which is an old...
I kind of hope it's Danielson and Moxley.
Could come down to Danielson and Moxley, two people on Blackpool Combat Club. I don't see Sammy beating Mox. I do see it kind of coming down, I think, to Danielson and Moxley, but after Moxley's promo, it seems like they're going to pull the trigger with him yet again, but I would like to see Danielson over him just to change.
I mean, people said on Twitter, but Moxley for AEW has been their ace right now. I know he called himself that, but it's like there's no one that's not showed up and done what he needed to do for them.
Speaking of Ace, who
All
is
right.
Ace Steel?
I'm going to say something. God. Hey, I tell you who Ace Steel is. Ace Steel's the guy that if we ever ran into him to the street and he knew that we said that, he would whip all of our asses. But
Bobby Fish wants to fight CM Punk.
all right,
That's
hang on.
mean.
Don't even, dude, don't even get me started on Bobby Fish. I'm not even going to go there with this guy. I have
If
recently.
you want to know what's going on, Bobby Fish and CM Punk, you can look it up yourself.
Well, I'll say this: Bobby Fish believes that the QAnon people are coming, and that the government is all a bunch of into children and all that stuff. So that's all I got to say about that. Bobby Fish, boo.
What were you going to say, though, before that?
I don't even remember, but you brought up Bobby Fish.
You're talking
and
about
you got me
Danielson and
fired up.
Moxley. We were talking about Danielson and Moxley.
Oh no, I just was gonna say that. I mean, dude, like, I'm not a deathmatch guy, and I was never big into Dean Ambrose, but I don't know. It's just like he's like stepped up to the plate so much every time they need him. It's like I think I really like Moxley. I'm a Moxley guy. I just don't like all like when he does.
That's a change of pace for me.
Yeah, I
Damn
just
it.
don't like all the barbed wire stuff. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, he can.
Like
I
all
mean,
the-
like the match against Punk, like he can actually wrestle when he needs to.
So, yeah, I thought
That's
that
what
was
Tim was saying, that he can actually do it.
yeah.
Our main event of Rampage, though, was really good. Claudio Castagnoli against Dax Hardwood
Yeah.
for the ROH World Championship. Why Cash Wheeler never has singles matches? I wonder. It's always Dax, which is fine.
Now that you point that
but,
out, yeah.
I don't know if anyone's noticed that. It's just always Dax if they want to do singles. Maybe Cash is like, nah, I only want to do. I mean, the only singles match I can remember of Dax or of Cash is Dax versus Cash
Right, yeah.
during the Owen Hart tournament. But winner was Claudio. This match was really good. If I could grade it, I'd give it an A.
How about if you give it a
I'm
star?
not going to give it stars. I'd give it like 4.5.
Give it a star out of 5 because 7 is stupid.
6-star FTR, bro.
7
whatever.
star FTR
Whatever.
now.
If it's past 5, it's dumb. But if FDR does it, then it's fine. But FDR deserves 7 stars every time.
No, this match was really good, but Claudio did retain, and they showed a sign of respect to one another, and William Regal was in the ring, and yeah, it was good. Good main event, good opener for Rampage this week.
Yeah.
So, but if you guys don't have anything else to add, that does completes the show.
That does
like, what's the
Yeah,
word for
like
it?
that,
That does complete the show.
That ends the show.
Completes it. Yep.
Well, if that about
Yeah,
wraps it up, then I'll put a bow on it here. We appreciate you all for joining us. I kind of fumbled that intro there a little bit, just reminding everybody that we do have brand new shirts on ProWrestlingTees.com/the PW Fan. Check us out on all of our socials. And what I was trying to get across in the beginning before I fumbled all my words was we cannot use an official URL for YouTube until we get to 100 subscribers. So if you guys can help us get there so we can just start giving you a link, and then I don't have to like make this whole convoluted sentence about please go to YouTube and then search us and blah, blah, blah. That would be great. So I appreciate y'all. Hopefully everybody's enjoying the return of the NFL if you're into that sort of thing. If you're into Funko collectibles, check out Andy's Funko Pop collection at the 410 Fan Bros on Instagram. Thank you all so much, and join us next week where we talk all things pro wrestling. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a good day.